Hey everyone, Christian here, and this vlog is going to be about how to tell the difference between this palm, Sabal palmetto, and that palm, a Washingtonia robusta. So I get this question asked a lot because they do visually look similar in many ways. However, I will point out the differences between the two that are obvious, whether they're small or large. Now, I'm working with just large plants now, so I want to point out the parts of the palm that'll be obvious. But first of all, the hatching, they both keep their old petiole bases for quite some time, and they'll be usually trimmed up when you see them. So when you see this on a palmetto, you'll see that it's, the trunk is a pale gray color, much like the Washingtonia. However, the hatching on it is also about the same color as the trunk. It's just a pale gray to off-white color, and the petioles are not armed. So if you look up here, right about there, you can see these basically where would be branches, but they're called petioles, and they have no teeth on them. So those are the two most distinguishable characteristics, in my opinion, versus a big robusta. If you can see the petioles of a Washingtonia robusta, then you'll be able to tell the difference. Also, the leaves on Sabal palmetto are much more costa palmate, meaning they fold in the middle. So if you see here, see the folds in the middle of the leaflets of the fronds. So the folding there. So if we go over to the Washingtonia, now this might be a little bit hard to see because it's almost like it's eclipsing the sun here. But I'm gonna get up real close to the trunk here. Maybe I can turn it around and you guys will be able to see a little better. Now this trunk is actually larger than the palmetto, which is they're usually about the same diameter. This one seems a little bit robust. So see the hatching here? See how it's very dark maroon color? Now that's going to be typical of robusta. You will not see that on a palmetto, as well as the armament. So it's hard to see the armament if I do that. Now maybe you can see it a little bit. However, if you look down here, the old hatching here actually has these teeth on it. So it's a starting of the armament. It doesn't go all the way down to the base of the petiole, but it'll start about a foot out. And all this fiber, you won't find that on a palmetto either. So it also flares a bit out of the trunk, which is not too typical of most palmettos. They don't do that. This one's actually busting the concrete here, so they just didn't make it big enough for the robusta. Palmettos will do the same thing as far as busting the concrete, but they won't flare at the base like that usually. Sometimes they will, but not to that extent. Also, if you look up at the fronds here, hopefully you guys can hear me through the wind. The fronds are much less costa palmate. If you look at, you can actually see it best in the dead leaves, and there's not much bend in the leaves, and they're actually much glossier. These are much more flat. They're not as shiny, so to speak. So the gloss in these, you may not be able to see it from this height, but you can see how there's really little bend in the leaflets. So between the armament, the costa palmation, meaning the bending of the leaflets, the dark maroon on the base of the petiole, and just the overall flaring of the trunk, and like I said, you can even see the armament here. It almost looks like shark's teeth. So the fiber as well. There will be a little bit of fiber. They're called lingules on palmettos. They're not very prominent, but the fiber here is quite obvious. You can almost weave baskets with that kind of fiber. So yeah, and also let's see if we can see a couple over here, but if you look, there's a lot of really tall, there's a couple taller ones, but Washingtonians will tend to grow a lot faster and a lot taller, and palmettos do not grow that fast. So you can remember the distinguishing characteristics. Then it'll become easier the more often you see the plants. If you don't see them very often, then it'll be a little bit harder. So as smaller plants, say in a 3-gallon pot you find at a store, Washingtonia robustas will always have that red color at the base. They won't have formed a woody trunk yet, obviously, but they're red coloring at the base, and again, they won't have that bend in the leaflet, where a palmetto will have that costa palmate leaf, even as a younger plant. I mean, it won't be as prominent, but these will be almost flat. You'll see how flat these leaflets are when they're younger. So anyway, I hope you guys can see all of that, and gals. So that's about it for the difference between the two palms. I'm going to try and do a Sabal palmetto versus a couple other species, so people can, be able to say, hey, I know the difference between a palmetto and this other palmate plant or palmate palm that looks very similar. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. You'll see many more palm reviews like this. If you have any questions about the differences between the two, leave them down below. I'll get back to you guys as soon as I can. I know I've missed a lot of comments lately, and I aim on getting back to them this weekend at the very latest. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see everyone next time.